for this kind of unique program called as Universal Brotherhood Day. I think it's unique and very Indianized way of celebrating Rakhis. Friends, I was told that I should invite some of my friends here. So I talked one of my good friend. I said that, why don't you come to attend this session? And he said that, okay, what are you going to speak about? I said that I'm going to speak something about black money. Oh, he was interested. Oh, are you going to talk about how to generate black money? I said, no. Then he said that, are you going to talk about how to convert black money to white? I said, no. I said that I'm just going to talk about how to catch the people who have black money. And I think he's not visible here. So the message is that I think the people don't want to be seen into the company of the people who don't have black money, or who don't even talk about those ways of converting those kind of black money, the converting something here and there. That's why you can see that the response in that kind of situation is low always. But still, I think I can see that there's a fair amount of interest in the topic, and I'm honored to be here. Thanks to my values given by my parents and the Sangh, the RSS, that I always thought that it is my duty to pay the right taxes to the government and build the business based on I think values and ethics. Bimalji was my guide in Bombay. I joined my RS in my college days in Rajasthan, and I think he was nice enough to give me a lot of support here when I came to Mumbai, because I didn't have any kind of friend or close relatives here. So I must acknowledge I got the support from our friends from the fraternity. Friends, I think we have heard a lot from Professor. I didn't want to talk too much about, I don't want to repeat something, same thing. But I think this problem of black money is huge. It's growing like cancer for our country. And unfortunate part is that the politicians themselves, they are not interested. In fact, they are the guys who are part of this problem and who don't want to look into this problem. You hear all kind of talks, you hear all kind of promises, but nothing is happening. I think the corruption, as Professor Vaidyanathan has said, I think result into a lot of kind of black money, and we all know that the power-hungry politicians are the part of this whole system who are, I think, corrupting the whole country. So this whole black money, the whole system actually flows from the top, and we are very, very, I would say, unfortunate as a country that despite so much talent, so much values, our ancient culture, we are not still able to say that we are a developed country, or we are the country where there are no poor people. I think the biggest challenge for us to address those kind of biggest challenges for us, including poverty or basic infrastructure, social infrastructure, or roads, or many more kind of things like healthcare and all. And the quantum of black money is so much in the country. I think Professor has talked about a lot of numbers, and estimates varies from maybe 500 billion to 1.5 trillion kind of stuff. With the globe, our economy size may be about, say, 1.6 or 1.7 trillion dollars, and maybe half or maybe 75% of that size goes through the parallel economy, through black money and all. So the numbers are quite big, and if we are somewhere we are able to channelize that same kind of money into the real economy, I think that can bring huge amount of growth. Professor has talked about 2% growth, but my sense is that it can be much, much higher. Because one is that whatever money, black money we have abroad in I think banks, particularly Swiss banks, that's not generating anything. There are no, if you look at the interest rate, while we may be having 12 to 13, 14% interest rate, but that money is not attracting any kind of, I would say, additional income on that. But the domestic black money is able to generate, I think, good amount of returns on that. So that's channelizing to some extent, but the extent can be far, far bigger. I think we always talk in the stock market that there's a kind of, the markets are driven by the emotions, that is greed and fear. And I see that even black money is also driven by the same kind of emotions of greed and fear. I think people are greedy, people don't want to pay taxes, and that's why they generate that kind of, they keep that money. Or fear, I think there are a lot of fear among those people who have money, that at least I need to have some money to pay something as bribes to run my operations or to my business. So one is that fear that I must have something to sustain my businesses, or there's a fear from the government, or fear from I think some other agency. So black money also is driven by, this parallel economy is driven by, I think, the greed and fear. And since we don't have very strong legal system, we don't have any strong kind of monitoring mechanism here, so that's why it's really flourishing in a big way. How to really, I think, some suggestion, I would like to say that a few thoughts, I think many of them Professor has talked about that, but in my sense, I think the first most important thing is, I think we need to have very strong political will. If the political system in the country, I think, is forced, thanks to Anna Hazare ji and I think many civil society members, if the politicians are cornered, and I think we are getting the right good message from the system that now they are feeling cornered, and each and every party is now, even the Congress talking, we support Anna ji, I don't know and what do they mean, but every political party now has got that message that the public support now for Anna ji's campaign is huge, and I'm sure we'll get some solution for not only corruption but even for black money. I think media has been highlighting a lot of things about this black money, I think, for last couple of years. Even today's Times of India has talked about, I think, corruption and black money. So we are very happy that we are moving, I think we are forcing the political system to move in that direction. I think that's a big kind of, I think, positive change which is happening here. Second thing, in the past we had some VDS schemes, amnesty schemes. My suggestion in one of the forum I was one of the panel, and I said that why don't we have one last amnesty scheme? And you can say that the country has to pass a legislation that in future, next 20, 30 years, this kind of schemes will not come, or maybe I think forever. So this is the last scheme for you to come clean. Come on, pay 25, 30%, whatever tax, and create a vehicle, I think, to invest that kind of money into social infrastructure or physical infrastructure. And if the politicians give that message, and with very strong Lokpal and judicial systems, I'm sure that people are going to get that message that this is the last opportunity for us to, I think, come clean and join the mainstream. That could be very interesting. And then, of course, you need to create a very accountable, I think, political and bureaucratic systems, because today there is no kind of accountability. In fact, the people who are paying, people like us who are paying more taxes, in fact, we are facing more hurdles. And the people who are not paying taxes, they are very happy. So that accountability among the politicians, accountability among, I think, the government servants has got to be pushed through, I think, whatever means. I think the government knows the solutions, but somewhere they have to bring that kind of accountability, which will bring huge amount of efficiencies everywhere. And I'm sure if we try to, I think, do that, some of the, I think, very easy solutions like GST. I think GST we have been hearing for last so many years, but I think there is no political consensus. I don't know why when BJP is in power, the Congress opposes it. When Congress is in power, the same BJP comes and opposes it. I don't know. I think there is no consensus, or there is clearly no accountability, or some kind of national infinity, or national kind of, I think, identity for the force, so that politicians, when it comes to national interest, they come and talk the same language. It's unfortunate, but somewhere we are moving in the right direction. I'm sure GST or even direct tax code, we had heard a lot about it, but when it is presented, it is in very kind of, I think, diluted kind of form. Same Lokpal, I think, in diluted form. GST or DTC, when first thing is that when they will come, and when they'll come, I think they will be in very kind of diluted form, which will not give the desired results. So my sense is that my request is, I think we must create the kind of momentum and pressure on the political systems to see to it that whatever our own kind of wealth which is lying outside or within the country, which is really not playing much important part, we must see to it that the system become very, very robust about that. These are my thoughts. I'm very happy to be part of you, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
He has another appointment and he has to rush. So one more round of applause for Shri Oswalji. We will have a question and answer session in a few minutes. I have a lot of questions from all of you.